much explains it all. But I have to say, it's an impressive tool. Whilst, of course, any changes you make aren't going to be saved on the website for everyone to see, what is good is that it keeps the original formatting of the source. So what you could do is subtly edit a page, maybe change one number, change one word, and then it allows you to screenshot it and share it. Just to your friends, of course. You're not trying to create hoaxes, but it's a pretty good laugh. So then we've got Minimalist Wallpapers, which on the face of it seems like a bit of a generic wallpaper application. Having said that, it's one of the few where I could find a consistent level of quality, and where the wallpapers inside were actually minimalist. There are a lot of apps that said it, but in the end they were just a generic collection of wallpapers. Now, whilst you're definitely not going to get a super sharp 4K image every time on this app, what you are getting is a really diverse selection of colourful, vibrant, but most importantly, flat and clean wallpapers, which fit almost any type of setup. You can also sort by category, which is useful, lots of things like gaming and nature, and it gives you quite a lot of flexibility with the home screen look you're trying to create. So the next one is super interesting. It's a small size, highly compressed, completely offline survival journal. It tells you everything from which plants you should be eating in the world to how to save yourself from a shark attack. And I suppose whilst it's pretty unlikely you'll ever need any of these things, they're very interesting to read, and I suppose it's a nice reassurance just in case you do ever end up in that situation. So then we've got My Device, an app that once installed tells you far more than you could possibly want to know about your smartphone. You can learn everything from what speed your processor is running at, to what magnetic direction your phone is facing, to what sensors your phone has built into it, and which ones are working properly. So then we've got the Smart Search web browser, a pretty interesting proposition. It has almost all the features of a standard browser, like what you might see on Google Chrome, but it's also got a couple of tricks hidden up its sleeve. In just one search bar, it's integrated searches of Google, Bing, Yahoo, and tons of other different engines. It also has a little button in the bottom right which allows you to switch any normal internet page to that of a reading mode. Now, it's pretty effective as well. It works quickly and also manages to remove any ads and irrelevant messages. It's got some customization to it, nothing too excessive, but it's a nice touch nonetheless. Guys, so there we have it. Those were my top 10 must-have Android apps for this month. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to smash that subscribe button and check out my other videos. I've got tons more. I'll list them in the description and as an end screen. With that being said, I'm Stu's the Boss, and I'm signing out.
Салют, приглуши свет.
Салют, включи мультики.
Раиса, принеси тапочки.
Жаль, что не все понимают вас так хорошо, как виртуальные ассистенты Салют в ТВ-приставке Sberbox. При покупке Sberbox подписки на специальных условиях.
How many times have you been about to jump online, only to find, hang on a second, where did my Wi-Fi signal go? Well, Wi-Fi AR uses augmented reality to show you how strong the signal is in the physical space around you. And there's a lot more where that came from. So welcome to my top 20 apps to take into 2020. Number 19 is SplitCloud, a music player that lets you play 2 songs at the same time. And the way I see it, there are 2 uses. If you fancy yourself as a bit of a DJ, this is a cool way of experimenting with making mashups. But what I use it for is when you've got one phone, but 2 people who want to listen to different tracks. If you plug in a pair of earphones, it can play one track through one ear and another track through the other. I'd go as far as to say that this icon pack, called Crayon, is in my top 3 released this whole year. Loads of icons, flat pastel colours, but more importantly, the wallpapers that come with it. Wallpapers can make or break the way icons come across, and so it's amazing how many icon packs neglect them. With Crayon though, it takes about 2 minutes to make something that looks as good as this. Very easy on the eyes. Speaking of wallpapers, we've got Blob. And I've got to say, the name isn't really doing it much justice. It is an elegant live wallpaper with minimal power draw. And whilst you can pay to customize it, it comes pre-configured in a way that I think will look good on 95% of home screens. The motion is noticeable enough to keep things interesting, but not so fast that it becomes distracting. This is what a live wallpaper should be. So, here's a situation. Most of us get a lot of notifications every day. I've definitely found times when I'm working on my laptop, but because my phone is the hub of my
I'm very
notifications,
good,
I
thank
feel
you.
like I need to keep checking that too.
I'm
And
great.
that's distracting. So, by
Very
installing
listening.
Chrono on your phone and the Chrome browser on your computer,
Welcoming.
you can see and interact with all your
Oh,
phone's
thank you for
notifications
this.
while your
Yes,
phone
for
is
the
somewhere
voices.
else. Plus, it creates a
Thank you.
tunnel between your phone and your laptop such that you can quickly send files between them. One of my biggest
Hey,
complaints
thank you,
with the
yeah.
modern day smartphone is that there's a lot of
Hey,
stretching
Emily,
involved
sure.
with these massive displays.
Very nice.
MIUI helps. It gives you a second notification bar at the bottom of your
Thank you.
phone, so you can swipe up and then adjust brightness, toggle settings, and so on,
Hi.
without feeling like you're just about to dislocate your thumb. And speaking of thumbs, if yours is near the subscribe button right now, a sub would be
Okay.
amazing. Next up, we've got a weather application. And I get it, weather apps are boring. But if you were going to use one,
Hello, Queen, I'm
Overdrop is
great,
my
thank you.
absolute favorite. I'm a big fan of applications that manage to keep sophisticated features whilst also keeping the interface clean, and Overdrop is one of the best examples of this. You can get as much or as little info as you need. Plus, the widget pack that comes bundled looks great when paired with a flat style wallpaper.
Great.
Then we've got Screenshot Go. We all take screenshots, and it just works, so we never really think to change our screenshot application, but this thing can solve a problem that I faced. It can extract text from those screenshots, which has two implications. It means the app understands the content of your images, so you can search for your screenshots just based on what was written in them. And it means that when you found those screenshots, you can copy text directly from them to paste elsewhere, even if that screenshot was taken 10 years ago. Now, Google is always running experiments. The reason Google has so many success stories is because they put their hand in everything. And they've recently been churning out loads of digital well-being apps. Put their extract of this PhD. And right now, a sub would be amazing. Next up, we've got a weather application. And I get it, weather apps are boring. But if you were going to use one, Overdrop is my absolute favorite. I'm a big fan of applications that manage to keep sophisticated features whilst also keeping the interface clean, and Overdrop is one of the best examples of this. You can get as much or as little info as you need. Plus, the widget pack that comes bundled looks great when paired with a flat style wallpaper. Then we've got Screenshot Go. We all take screenshots, and it just works, so we never really think to change our screenshot application, but this thing can solve a problem that I faced. It can extract text from those screenshots, which has two implications. It means the app understands the content of your images, so you can search for your screenshots just based on what was written in them. And it means that when you found those screenshots, you can copy text directly from them to paste elsewhere, even if that screenshot was taken 10 years ago. Now, Google is always running experiments. Part of the reason that in texts you can copy texts just based, it means the app, it can extract text from the application, but this thing can solve a problem that I faced. It can extract text from those screenshots, which has two implications. It means the app understands the content of your images, so you can search for your screenshots just based on what was written in them. And it means that when you found those screenshots, you can copy text directly from them to paste elsewhere, even if that screenshot was taken 10 years ago. Now, Google is always running experiments. Part of the reason the company has so many success stories is because they put their hand in everything, and they've recently been churning out loads of digital well-being apps. Two of them are pretty good. The first is Postbox, which aims to stop your need to continuously check your phone by piling up your notifications and then releasing them all at once at specified times. You can choose to release them 1, 2, 3, or 4 times per day, just to give yourself time to breathe in between. Google's second is Desert Island, which is one of those home screen replacements that tries to Google breathe and then comes to outlook success stories is because they put their hand in everything, and they've recently been churning out loads of digital well-being apps. Two of them are pretty good. The first is Postbox, which aims to stop your need to continuously check your phone by piling up your notifications and then releasing them all at once at specified times. You can choose to release them 1, 2, 3, or 4 times per day, just to give yourself time to breathe in between. Google's second is Desert Island, which is one of those home screen replacements that tries to strip you of everything but what you need. You pick up to 7 apps for your home screen and it hides the rest away, also removing all of those colourful icons which are built to lure you in. It works, and the other thing I like here is that you get reporting. It tells you how many times you've used each of these apps, so you've got a figure to aim for. I say this as if applications are these universally menacing things, but a lot of them can be wonderful tools. And one of my favorites from this entire year is Picnic. It allows you to, even in real time, edit the lighting in your entire photo. The sky changes alongside the colors of almost everything else, and is the most convincing effect out of all the apps I've tried that offer similar features. It's just fun. Oftentimes when I've taken a photo I'm really proud of, I just find myself thinking, I wonder if this could look even better if I played with the lighting effects. For example, here's a scene I shot in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago, and it looks pretty great, but I definitely think it's an improvement when I applied the sunset preset. But we can do better still. I then tried Snowstorm, and truth be told, most people I showed the image to didn't even question that it was fake. The responses were mostly, oh wow, I didn't realize it snowed in Hawaii. Another example of an app that is not so much useful as it is insanely fun to use. Another example of an app that is not simply, most people I showed the image to didn't even question that it was fake. The responses were mostly, oh wow, I didn't realize it snowed in Hawaii. Another example of an app that is not so much useful as it is insanely fun to use is Tiny Planets. It's interesting because it allows you to distort normal photos and see them from a completely new perspective. It makes you think. Sometimes even in relatively dull scenes, if you plan it carefully, you can take some intriguing Tiny Planet photos, and the app gives you some extra trippy options to play around with. You can spin, rotate, and distort to your heart's content. The final app in this category of quirky photo editors is ChromaLab. On the face of it, standard stuff. You've got filters, you can make fine adjustments, but the filters themselves are pretty wacky. ChromaLab can turn a pretty normal looking photo into something straight out of a sci-fi movie poster within 20 seconds. Bold colors with a surprising amount of customization once you get into it. So those last three apps, pretty extra. So here's something for the minimalists among you. Welcome to a wallpaper app with a difference. Stupid Screens takes clean to a whole new level. You might even say too far. A lot of these look empty, but the hook here is that the app will keep generating a new wallpaper every time you tap this button. It's been programmed with certain rules, certain objects it uses, and certain colors, but even then, you're very unlikely to generate the same wallpaper twice. For people who have a bit of time to spare, we've got Displayland. It allows you to 3D scan objects, people, or even entire rooms. And whilst its purpose doesn't stretch far beyond just being cool, it is very cool. You have to circle round several times for it to get a good reading, and even then, the result is not super high resolution. But there's something about being able to explore an object from every angle that makes it a more powerful result than just taking a photo. So, I mentioned earlier, this continuous stream of wacky projects that come out the doors of Google. Motion Stills is one of their best. It captures the movement of fast objects, so the rain in this case, whilst eliminating the movement of slow objects, like the trees in the background. The result is that the final clip you get appears to have been taken on a tripod with rock-solid stabilization, and the completely frozen backdrop brings more attention to the subject. Ubiki Touch is maybe the most fluid of all third-party gesture apps I've used. It creates two translucent bars on either side of your phone, and when you swipe in from them, you can configure this to a whole number of commands, like going back. The difference here is that gestures are programmed more granularly than just swipe right is this and swipe left is that. You can configure what a swipe, drag up, and a hold would do, for example. It's super polished. The only caveat is that most of the features are locked until you get the pro version. Okay, easily one of my favorite augmented reality apps is WannaKicks. I'm not a massive sneakerhead, but as someone who's not particularly knowledgeable in shoes, this is amazing for me. I can pick from a whole suite of real designs and visualize how they would look if I bought them. It's obviously not as good as finding a store and physically putting them on, but you might be surprised how much of a feel you do get for something when you see it on your body in AR. Cometin is an app that doesn't really have one particular function. You could call it a toolbox, a sort of compilation of some of the best mods available on Android, and it allows you to apply them easily and without rooting your device. Things like improved rotation, which lets you rotate even in stubborn apps that usually block you, and can even let you rotate 180 degrees. Plus, a fully customizable ambient display. You can configure what the always-on clock will look like, and even the animation when you get a notification. And finally, an absolute must-try, in my opinion, is Google Go. It's a web browser, but uses a number of tricks to save 30 to 40% of data, whilst sometimes being faster than Google Chrome. Applications like YouTube open in their native apps as opposed to a mobile browser equivalent, which for me is ideal, and if you're ever reading an article and you want it dictated, just tap this button at the bottom, and you can even adjust the speed of speech. If you enjoyed this, a sub would be amazing, and I've got another video all about other applications that impress me. With that being said, my name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Нет, надо платно играть, платно, да. Нет, ну наоборот, да. Ну вот это он и каваида надо, да. Наоборот, значит, да. Наоборот, значит, да. Да. наоборот. Угу. Как все зависло. Да. Mashup. Somehow. Somehow. benefits. Closing your benefits. Читал. Пюрк. Rastama. Видимо, нет, говорит.